stop everything. A mysterious number might be trying to communicate with you right now. It may sound crazy, but what if I told you there are numbers that can predict your turning point in life even before you realize it? A woman in India went through 3 years of failure, grief, and blockages until she started seeing the number 29 again and again. Coincidence? That's what she thought, until her life completely turned around. In this video, you're going to discover the 6 most powerful numbers of 2025, revealed through an explosive combination of ancient Buddhism, Old World astrology, sacred numerology, and hidden prophecies from figures like Nostradamus and Baba Vanga. Here's the warning. These numbers only work if you watch until the end, because there's a 7th hidden number that may have a direct connection with your energy right now. If you feel like the universe is trying to show you something, this video is your sign. But first, write in the comments, "I accept my transformation," and click like, because that activates the frequency of change within you. Now, take a deep breath, because the first number could change your reality. But before revealing the first number, it's worth pausing for a moment. Maybe you're asking yourself, but is there any real basis to this? Or maybe you think numbers are just coincidences. Let's look at the facts. In 1999, a study at Princeton University revealed something unsettling. Researchers created machines called REGs, random event generators. These devices were supposed to produce unpredictable sequences, but something strange happened. During moments of strong collective emotion, like tragedies or major celebrations, the regs stopped being random. It was as if human consciousness was interfering with the mathematical pattern. This experiment, called the Global Consciousness Project, is still being monitored today, and it suggests what many ancient traditions have always claimed: the human mind interacts with the field around it, even with numbers. So even if you're skeptical, remember, science is still in its infancy compared to what ancient cultures have long known. Numbers aren't just quantities, they're living symbols, and learning how to interpret them can change the way you see and shape your own reality. Now, we're ready for the first number, a number with the energy of building, structure, and rebirth, 29. The number 29 carries a deep archetype, the master builder. It's not just a number, it's a calling, a call to transform the invisible into something tangible. In many traditions, 29 represents the union of the idealism of number 2 with the power of realization of number 9. Together, they form a powerful symbol of conscious manifestation. In numerology, 29 is considered a mission number. People who connect with it often face great challenges at the beginning of their journey, but it's exactly those challenges that prepare them to build something solid and lasting. Spiritually, it's the number of those who build bridges between the material world and the intuitive one. Astrology reinforces this meaning as well. 29 often shows up in the birth charts of people going through Saturn returns, times of maturity, responsibility, and decision. It's no surprise that many great leaders and spiritual mentors have this number present in key moments of their lives. Imagine a woman who, after losing everything during a divorce, started studying numerology to find a new direction. She discovered that the number 29 kept appearing in her life, in her new home address, in important documents, even at the exact time she met someone who would help her rebuild her business. Today, she uses the number as a kind of anchor, and she says, 29 reminds me every day that I have the power to rebuild. What the number 29 asks of you is clarity. It activates your archetype as the architect of your own reality. It's not about dreaming, it's about structuring, writing it down, organizing, taking responsibility for what you want to see grow. Now stop for a moment and think, what do you want to build this month? It could be something material like a new project, or something emotional like a stronger relationship or a more peaceful routine. Comment below what that construction is. Naming it is the first step toward manifestation. Remember, 29 doesn't build on impulse. It builds with intention, and everything that begins with clarity tends to endure over time. Few numbers carry an energy as quiet and resilient as 17. It represents the crossing, that moment when pain is still present, but hope is already starting to take shape. In numerology, 17 reduces to the number 8, a symbol of karmic balance, overcoming challenges, and reaping what was once sown. But 17 has a particular trait. It speaks to the strength that emerges precisely from hardship. It's the number of those who refuse to be defined by their falls. And it's no coincidence. The number 17 often appears in cycles linked to the planet Saturn, known in astrology as the strict teacher. Saturn doesn't reward illusions. It teaches through limits, time, and effort. But when it finally delivers its rewards, they're solid. Now imagine, what challenges are you facing at this moment in your life? Maybe it's a sudden change, a loss, or a cycle that just won't close. Think about it, and if you feel like it, share in the comments. Not to expose yourself, but to turn what's inside into something that can be healed. There was a man named Luis. For years, he tried to keep a small family business afloat that barely sustained itself. When it failed, he spent months in silence, feeling lost. One day, he randomly found an old numerology book at a used bookstore. Flipping through it, he discovered that his full name resonated with the frequency of number 17. That same week, he wrote down everything he wanted to rebuild. It wasn't just about money. He wanted self-respect. Months later, he launched a simple service, but with soul, and it thrived. Number 17 taught me that there's no real victory without inner reconstruction, he says. The archetype of 17 is that of the silent warrior, not the one who shouts, but the one who knows how to wait. He turns pain into wisdom, and wisdom into direction. If 29 builds, 17 shapes with resilience. It is the steel behind the architecture, and this month, that energy is more present than ever. Close your eyes for a moment. if you can, and imagine a soft light forming in your chest. It's not an external light. It's yours. It's always been there. Now think, how many times have you felt something before it happened? The number 11 is known as the spiritual master. In numerology, it represents the portal between the visible and the invisible, between logic and intuition. It's the number of those who see beyond appearances. People who live under the vibration of 11 are usually more sensitive, more connected to the collective and to their own soul. But this sensitivity is a double-edged sword. It can be light or confusion, vision or illusion. That's why 11 requires discernment and ongoing spiritual practice. In astrology, 11 is linked to Uranus, the planet of sudden insights, unexpected revelations, and inner truth. And that's exactly what it brings this month, a call to trust more in what we feel, even when the world around us seems to doubt it. Have you ever had a moment when your intuition saved you from something, or guided you toward a decision that seemed crazy at the time, but later made perfect sense? If so, share it in the comments. When we tell these stories, we help others recognize their own inner voice. A powerful example is Teresa, a woman who woke up every night at exactly 3:11 a.m. for weeks. Exhausted, she began to research what that number meant. She discovered that 11 was a spiritual call, and interestingly, it was during that time she decided to leave a job that was making her sick and enroll in a natural healing course. Today, she says it was the first time she listened to her soul instead of her fear. 11 doesn't shout. It whispers. And only those who quiet themselves within can hear it. This month, the number 11 is especially active due to planetary alignments with Uranus and Neptune. It's an invitation to slow down, listen, and trust. If you've been ignoring your intuition, this might be the time to start listening again. And remember, your deepest wisdom isn't outside of you, it's within. Some phases of life end subtly, others like a storm. But in all of them, what breaks makes space for something new, even if we can't see it at first. The number 30 speaks exactly to this: rebirth. In numerology, it represents the closing of cycles with lightness and wisdom. The 3 brings expression, creativity, and reconnection with joy. The 0 expands and spiritualizes the process. Together, they form a symbolic code of emotional release and purposeful renewal. This month, number 30 is deeply connected to intense astral events, like the most significant lunar eclipse of the year. And eclipses don't ask for permission. They reveal. They bring to the surface everything that's ready to leave, even if we're still holding on. Want an example? During a lunar eclipse some years ago, a woman named Claudia experienced something unusual. Without knowing why, she felt an uncontrollable urge to clean her home. But not just objects. She donated clothes, burned old letters, and cut ties with people who only brought heaviness. 3 days later, she received an unexpected phone call with a proposal to move to another city. She accepted, and later she said, "It was as if the universe was waiting for me to let go, so it could finally deliver." That's the spirit of 30. It doesn't destroy. It creates space. Rebirth is not an act of force. It's an act of surrender. Now pause and think. What are you willing to leave behind? It could be a belief, a fear, a relationship that has already served its purpose. Write in the comments what you're choosing to release. When you name it and write it down, the process of letting go has already begun. The number 30 reminds us that living means accepting cycles, and that every true ending is actually a disguised beginning. Few numbers carry as much strength as 8. It's symmetrical, steady, and infinite. No matter how you look at it, it remains stable. And that's its greatest power: balance. In numerology, 8 is the number of karma, prosperity, and spiritual responsibility over the material world. It teaches us that there is no separation between what we feel and what we manifest. Everything we create externally starts within, and everything we receive is the result of something we've offered at some point, even unconsciously. The year 2025, when its digits are added together, 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 5, also results in 9, the end of a major cycle. But this particular month, planetary energies are forming numerical patterns that strongly activate the archetype of 8. That means we have a powerful window for alignment between intention and action. Astrology supports this as well, with the movements of Jupiter and Saturn, 2 planets associated with expansion and structure. In simpler terms, now is the time to align purpose with practice, vision with execution. Now think honestly. Do your goals truly reflect what you came here to do? Or have you been chasing achievements that no longer resonate with your essence? 8 doesn't sustain illusions. It brings harvest. And harvest only happens where there's been real planting. That's why you should write in the comments 3 seeds you want to plant this month. For example, self-confidence, financial independence, and peace with my body. What matters is that it's authentic. The universe responds to clarity. Ernesto's story is an example of this. He spent decades trying to find success outside himself, accumulating roles, debts, and exhaustion. When he began studying the symbolism of the number 8, he realized that his real challenge was internal, balancing his spirituality with his daily actions. He changed his pace, set boundaries, meditated before every major decision. The result? He didn't become a millionaire. He became aligned, and that brought him everything he was searching for, without running. 8 invites you to do the same. Act with awareness. It doesn't reward speed, but coherence. Before we reveal the final number, there's something that needs to be said. Maybe you haven't noticed, but if a number has started appearing frequently in your dreams, there's a reason for it. For Tibetan monks, dreams are more than random images. They are portals. During sleep, the ego becomes silent, and our deeper consciousness begins to communicate in symbolic language. And when numbers appear repeatedly in that state, they're not random. They're encrypted messages from the soul. Science is still in its early stages with this, but it already acknowledges. Dream neuroscience studies show that recurring symbols appear when there are inner conflicts seeking resolution. And numbers are some of the strongest symbols the unconscious uses. An example, a holistic therapist named Marianne reported dreaming for 12 consecutive nights about the number 41, always in different situations, but with the same number highlighted. When she decided to investigate, she discovered that this number matched the age her father was when he passed away, and also appeared in a key date tied to a new professional cycle she was about to begin. Coincidence or calling? If you've been seeing repeated numbers in dreams or always waking up at the same time, take note. Do some research. Ask yourself, what part of me is trying to express itself through these signs? Now then, ready? Let's talk about the final number, one that combines material stability with immediate action and spiritual strength, the number 41. The number 41 carries a rare combination, stability and spiritual drive. It merges the solid foundation of number 4, structure, discipline, work, with the action-oriented and leadership energy of number 1. The result is an archetype of quiet power, one that endures and thrives even in uncertain times. In numerology, 41 symbolizes action with divine purpose. It's the number of those who plant with their feet firmly on the ground, but their eyes looking upward. Or those who understand that spirituality is not separate from practical life. It shows up in the details, in how you organize your day, take care of your loved ones, and act even in the face of fear. Historically, number 41 shows up in moments tied to rebuilding. After periods of collapse or crisis, it appears as a symbol of renewed inner strength and recovery. Want a simple yet powerful example? During one of Argentina's greatest economic crises, a 61-year-old woman named Sylvia started embroidering to sell. She had no big expectations, only the need to support herself. When she made her first label, she used the sum of 2 important dates, the number 41. 2 years later, her small embroidery network was supporting 11 other women in her neighborhood. It was like that number reminded me that God also builds with our hands. She said in a local interview, "This is the power of 41. It doesn't wait for the perfect moment. It starts. It asks you, what are the foundations you need to strengthen right now in this moment of global change? It could be your health, your faith, your family, or even your financial organization. Whatever it is, 41 invites you to stop waiting, to do what needs to be done with intention, with firmness, with awareness. Write in the comments, my foundation is, and complete it with what you're choosing to solidify from this day forward. This isn't just about numbers, it's about identity. 41 symbolically closes this journey, with feet firmly on the ground and spirit connected to the sky. Throughout life, most people look for clear signs to know if they're on the right path. An immediate answer, a solution that comes from the outside. But the great masters, both spiritual and philosophical, have always pointed in another direction: invisible alignment. This alignment doesn't flash lights, doesn't draw applause. It happens in silence. It's when you begin to notice subtle patterns, a number that keeps appearing, a thought that returns with intensity, a situation that repeats itself until you understand what needs to change. It's when you look back and realize why something had to end. It's when you look inward and recognize, I'm not the same anymore, and that's a good thing. This kind of awakening rarely starts with a grand event. It starts with a small but conscious choice, like watching this video all the way through, like writing down a number that touched you, like commenting, even if you don't know exactly why. These gestures are seeds, and where there are seeds, transformation is already waiting to happen. A 58-year-old woman named Inez shared in a spiritual group that after years of living on autopilot, she started writing down numbers that kept showing up in her daily life without knowing anything about numerology. Later, as she researched their meanings, she realized they formed a precise symbolic path. 29. The call to rebuild. 17. The overcoming of an old trauma. 11. The reconnection with her intuition. 30. The release of a story that no longer fit. 8. The balance between her spirituality and her practical life. And finally, 41. The moment when everything finally aligned. For the first time, I felt like life was speaking to me. And the craziest part is, it always had been. Maybe you're at that very same point, the exact moment when the pieces start to come together, not because of magic, but because you're more present, more aware, more willing. If this resonated with you, write in the comments, I recognize the sign, and share which number touched your heart the most. This isn't the end of the video. It's the beginning of a new chapter with more awareness, more direction, and more meaning. You made it this far. And that's not just a retention metric. It's a quiet signal that something in you is ready for more, ready to break out of autopilot, ready to make deeper connections with the events in your life, ready to find meaning in what once seemed like mere coincidence. Think about it. Why did these numbers resonate with you? Why did each story we shared here of ordinary people going through profound transformations make you pause and reflect, perhaps in silence? The answer might be simple yet powerful, because part of you already knew, already sensed that numbers carry more than mathematical value. They carry messages stored in the unconscious, waiting for the right moment to be activated. And now that you've heard the 6 main codes, 29. Reminding you it's possible to start over with structure and purpose. 17. Giving you strength to turn pain into power. 11. Whispering that your inner wisdom is ready to be heard. 30. Opening the doors to release and emotional rebirth. 8. Balancing your external achievements with your inner worth. And 41. Blending stability with immediate spiritual action. Maybe something inside you has shifted, even if you can't quite name it yet. And that's exactly what happens when you enter a state of symbolic alignment. Your brain starts connecting the dots. Your emotional field syncs up with decisions you didn't even realize you needed to make. And your conscious mind, for the first time in a long time, opens up to listen. This is where archetypes become powerful. Not because they're magical, but because they activate parts of your mind that were dormant. Parts that long to grow, to break free, to build, to transform, to evolve. And this isn't just spirituality. It's neuroscience applied to human behavior. Studies show that symbols, like numbers with deep meanings, create emotional anchors in the brain. They work like shortcuts of meaning. And when you associate these shortcuts with emotions, stories, and real-life decisions, your brain records that experience as if it already happened. And now, here's a subtle secret. Everything you felt in this video, you can replicate in your life. You can use these numbers as mental anchors, as symbolic reminders that you are constantly creating, that nothing is truly out of reach when you act with intention and awareness. So now, more than ever, I invite you to materialize this connection, not just by watching, but by actively participating in the energy that has already been awakened. In the comments, write, "Manifiesto mi poder," or share the number that most touched your heart, your intuition, or your memory. When you do this, something shifts, because writing is declaring, and declaring is the first step to manifesting. And know this, thousands of people are doing this right now. You are part of something greater than you realize. A silent movement of people waking up, realigning their paths, reconnecting with their purpose. And if this video made sense to you, subscribe to the channel, not just to not miss the next one, but to keep this space of expansion open within yourself. Here, with every piece of content, you're not just learning something new. You're remembering something ancient, something essential, something that was already yours. And finally, share this video with someone who needs it. Don't explain, just send it. Sometimes a simple suggestion is all it takes to activate a new phase in someone's life. You didn't come this far by accident. You're here because you're ready to take the next step. And now that you've heard all this, what will you do with it?